like guest speaker of the year. So I'm really excited. But this is a blend of Team Frankly Fierce, which is my team, and Team Glow Diggers. Yeah, right? Well, it sounded weird in my head, which is Danielle's team. And we're just really excited to get this year started.
Yay. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here. Do you guys want me to just kind of jump in and give you a little backstory and everything?
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect. So for those of you that I don't know, which is basically everyone here, my name is Keisha, and I live in New York City with my boyfriend, Sina, and our little fur nugget, Lizzie, who we just adopted 3 months ago. So I'm a fur mom. I have been coaching since January 2014. Let's see, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. So I actually ordered P90X so September 2013, I ordered P90X, and I ordered it from someone who I randomly found on Instagram, but I had never talked to her or had any type of communication with her whatsoever. Just when I went to order my program, it said, "Do you have a coach?" And I thought she had a really cute family, so I put her name down as my coach. Her name is Brigitte Linford. For any of you guys that know her, she's really awesome, but put her name down. So obviously she found me on Facebook. There's not a lot of Keishas. She reached out to me. She asked me to join one of her challenge groups, and I said no because I was like, I don't know what this weird Beachbody thing is, but I'm not really down for that. But I thought she was cute, and I thought she was a really sweet person. So I still followed her on social media, and I went to do P90X by myself. I talked about this a little bit on the National Wake Up Call for any of you guys that listen to that, but I quit on day 4, which is yoga for anyone that's done P90X, like cuff stops yoga, just not my jam. So I quit on that, and then I reached back out to her again and said, what I'm doing right now is not working, so I'm down to join one of these groups. She told me about Shakeology. I researched the ingredients and signed up as a discount coach on the spot. And I told her I never want to build a business, so don't talk to me about the business. I said it in a nice way, but in my head I was like, this is cute, but like, this is not a real job, and I have a real job, and I don't know what these crazy coaches with all their selfies are doing. Anyway, so I said no to her until I realized that I was really lacking fulfillment. At the time, I was working as a project manager in Seattle, and I was overseeing a team of software engineers who were writing code to put on firewalls. Woo, yay. Like, not something that I was super passionate about. It's obviously important. People need firewalls, I guess, but it wasn't very fulfilling. So I started Beachbody coaching, and I ran my first challenge group in January 2014, simply because I wanted more fulfillment. I didn't want this to be a full-time job. Again, I didn't really believe that it was a real job. I use air quotes because I was so in my head about what a job looked like. And for me, that was climbing the corporate ladder. And anyway, so then I was a coach for I asked her, what do I need to do? And she said, hit Emerald. So I hit Emerald the first day. I had my boyfriend and my best friend sign up as coaches. And then she's like, hit Success Club 10. So I did that because I was super excited. And then it wasn't until, and I went diamond relatively quickly just because I was so pumped up about the business. But it wasn't until June, which I'm so glad you guys talked about New Orleans and Summit, because it wasn't until June of 2014 when I went to Summit in Las Vegas. Part of the reason that I went to Summit was because it was in Las Vegas. So I'm really glad that I did, because it totally changed my life. But I sat in the audience and I watched my coach, Brigitte, speak on stage with another coach in the network named Christina Delgado, who was a partner in a law firm at the time. And something about her credibility in terms of, like, she had been a partner and she left her job, talking about how her job was stressing her out so much that it was going into her marriage and negatively impacting her marriage. And I was sitting there with my boyfriend next to me thinking, like, this is going to be my future. Like, I'm going to invest so much into my career for what, when that could potentially hurt our marriage long term. So that was a big driver for me and really kind of just like woke me up. And I went up to my coach and I said, I'm all in, and now I'm actually going to do this thing, and I'm going to build this to a full-time income, and I want to leave the corporate world. I decided all of that like in an instant. And the irony is, my boyfriend said to me as we were sitting on the floor watching Brigitte and Christina speak in a workshop at Summit, he said to me, like, I guarantee you will be on that stage sharing your story. And 2 years later, I was on stage in a workshop sharing my story, and Brigitte was sitting on the floor filming me. So very full circle moment. I think it's really important just to kind of understand the backstory of it, because it shows you like, I didn't know what I was doing. It also, I word vomited on people. I didn't think this was a real job. I honestly like just didn't really like believe fully in the business, but I was excited and it fulfilled me. And I think those are two really important characteristics that people need to seek out constantly in this business. So I'm really excited in particular. Oh, I guess to finish the story, moved to New York because my boyfriend is a full-time student at NYU Dental. He's in his 3rd year right now. And I'm supporting us while he goes through school. And after we moved here, 8 or 10 months after Summit, I quit my job. I worked at Google when we were in New York, and I've been a full-time coach since April 2015. So it happened really fast. And I love that Noelle asked me to talk about this particular topic of kind of like developing leaders in the CEO mindset, because that is something that happened for me 6 months into the business that completely changed the trajectory of my business. And it's also why I was totally down to talk on this call and chat with you guys, because I love talking to people that want to develop leadership skills and really want to take this to the next level. So thank you guys for having me. And I have some juicy stuff that I want to get into. So should I just jump in? Is that what we're doing? Okay, cool. Double thumbs up and vicious head nods. I will take that. So here's the thing. I don't think that you actually start your journey. Like a lot of you guys, in my opinion, or people that listen to this recording, haven't actually started. Maybe you're a coach, but I don't think you start when you sign up. I think you start when you decide. And that's what it was for me in terms of I started, and I definitely had some success in this business right from the get-go, like I said, because I was so excited about it. But when I decided that I was going to do this, that's when it really started to spiral and kind of take off from there. And so I had to think about it in terms of 100K business mindset. I know that that's not everyone's goal in the business. And I think that whatever your goal is, that's perfect. But for a lot of my coaches that come into the business that are in our Team Fit Foundation, are a lot of corporate hustlers who want this to be their full-time job and just kind of see a different vision with what their life can look and feel like. So they're pretty motivated by that like 6-figure mark. So I believe that if you start to treat your business like a business, it becomes the business that you want it to be. And like, I am not saying like this fluffy universe stuff where it's like, just like dream it and it'll just fall into your lap and like, then you can quit your job or you can have $100,000 business. That's not what I mean. I think the hardest part is just the decision in itself. And a lot of inaction and overthinking breeds fear. And so what I talk to a lot of coaches about is they think that they started coaching because they signed up, but they haven't really made a decision that they're really going to do this. And they're going to understand going into this that there's going to be extreme cloud 9 highs and there's going to be really hard times. And that just comes with being a CEO or being your own business owner, that you cannot expect that it's going to be rainbows and butterflies with lollipops coming out of your butt every single day. You know, that's just not like what this business is. And it's just not real life in general. And I'm someone who, if any of you guys are friends with me on social media, I'm definitely like a happy-go-lucky person, but I'm also a realist. And it takes a lot of hard work to get this to the point where it is a substantial income type of business. And I want to tell you guys, like, it's going to take work to get there, but it's so, so, so worth it. But I want you guys to kind of think about how often is it that you either yourself or maybe a coach that you talk to, or if you don't have coaches yet, I'm not sure what everyone's tenure is in the business or kind of position in the business, but even if you don't have coaches yet, you're going to run into this where Beachbody is the first thing to go when life gets crazy, because it's the easiest thing. And why? It makes tons of sense, because nobody's going to be mad at you if you don't post on Facebook. Nobody's going to check on you if you don't do invites. Nobody's going to yell at you if you don't show up. If your upline's yelling at you, you need a new upline, which I don't think anyone here is. But, you know, no one is going to hold you accountable as if a boss would, right? Or even if you have kids, it's like if your kids are screaming, like you got to do something about that. Like I said, I'm a fur mom, so I just put my dog in the kennel and you can't do that with kids. So, you know, I think that's one of the things that's really difficult about this business is it is the first thing to go. So people wonder why it takes them a while to reach their goals, but it's because they're not actually staying consistent with those tiny little things that are so simple to do and so simple not to do. The difference between if you are a CEO, if you have a CEO mindset, which I'm going to dig into in a second, is that you commit to doing those things even when it's not convenient, because motivation is really easy. I think that like listening to podcasts or like listening to the Shalene show or having a good pump up playlist, like I like the Britney Body playlist on Spotify, which is my favorite, but listening to that and like being pumped up, that's great. But motivation is fleeting. It's discipline that takes this to the next level. It's discipline that comes from a CEO. A CEO does things when it's not convenient, when it's annoying to do those things that you promised yourself that you would do, and it's 11:30 p.m. and you just want to pass out and go to bed. Or you look at your day ahead of you and you're about to go into your corporate job and you need to leave at 7 and you still need to do a workout. A CEO looks at the day ahead and gets that done at 5:30 a.m. That's not glamorous. And a lot of times coaches in the network talk about the glamorous, like in terms of, oh, I exceeded my corporate salary and like Beachbody sent me this stuff and like, oh, like la 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 la. And all of that stuff is great. And it's an amazing company to partner with, but you've got to remember that it does take work to get there. And I want you guys to know that, because a lot of times coaches struggle and they think, oh, like, I don't know if this is working out for me. But that's where the growth happens. And that's what the stories that you get to share with your team later, whether you have coaches or you don't have coaches yet, you get to share those struggles and how you process through them and how you grew through what you went through later on. That gives you good, solid material, and it gives you good posting stuff too that you can talk about. But especially in this business, the entire business structure is built off of the compound effect, right? So like I said, those tiny little things that are so easy to do and so easy not to do, the problem is most people don't do them. And so a lot of coaches come in, and I'll tell you when I get a red flag about a coach. They come into the business, they're super fired up, they're super motivated. They don't want to make a game plan yet because they're just pumped up. I was like this, like my upline coach was like, do you want to make a plan? And I'm like, don't talk to me, I got this. Like, so trust me, I get that. I'm like, for you guys that know about color personalities, I'm a yellow and a red combined together, so hardcore. But so the people that don't want to come in and make a game plan and they get super excited, that's awesome and that's great. But if they come in and they hit the ground running, hit super high success club numbers their first month, and then month 2, they've ran through their warm market and they're not going into it with the mindset that it is going to be difficult sometimes, they often quit because they think, wait a second, maybe I'm not cut out for it. It wasn't as easy this month as it was last month. So I want you to think about that in terms of like making a plan that you're not just going to be here in a year from now. I actually hate when I hear other coaches say that because it's just not true. In my experience in 3 years, it's not just being here in a year, it's showing up for a year. Like really actually showing up, meaning like you've got to be hitting Success Club. That's how you build your business, right? You've got to be showing up on social media, because not only does that build internal confidence as you're doing those things and getting to check those things off your to-do list, but it builds confidence with your audience so you feel more credible to them as well. They know that you're serious about this. Like think about it, if you went into a store, and what was I listening to about People Magazine? I don't know. I can't remember. I was listening to a podcast or something where someone was like, I go into a store and I buy People Magazine, and I don't personally, but this person does. Goes into a store, buys People Magazine. Then you go in on a Tuesday and People Magazine is not there. So you're like, okay, well, whatever. I'll just come back and try and get it the next day. You go back on Wednesday, People Magazine is still not there. On Thursday, you're like, okay, well, Us Weekly's here. And I mean, it's the same stuff, right? I'll just buy Us Weekly. Because you're not showing up. So people can't count on you. And that credibility is super, super important. So what I've been teaching my team is to break down some of the things that you think are non-negotiable to do in this business every single day, no matter what. And we talk about that a lot. And what I used to do that was non-negotiable was personal development and post on social media and do my workout and drink my Shakeology and invite people to join me. That used to be what I did at the very beginning. And I would do that every single day, right? Adding people to my network and send them a message. We call them on our team, hey girl messages. After I add someone on Facebook, sending them a message that has nothing to do with Beachbody. I used to do those things every single day. Now what I'm teaching my team that might help some of you guys is to be more self-aware. So for example, I was able to, for about a year and a half, consistently, probably 95% of the time, like that's how ruthlessly consistent I was. And that's why my business grew so quickly, was because I was so diligent about being consistent. that I would do those particular things every single day while I worked a full-time corporate job. And I'd work really early in the morning or late at night, and I did that every single day. But now how I build my business is I actually focus on particular areas every single day. And some of my coaches do that too. Where, for example, especially like moms, new moms, sometimes you're working in mom cracks, which is very different than my life, where I can block off, especially now that I'm a full-time coach, where I can block off chunks of time. But if you're working in the mom cracks, one thing that I would suggest that some of my coaches do that are moms is write down a list of like what their goal is for how many people they want to invite to join them for the week, and write a list like 1 through 25. Say you wanted to invite 25 people, and whenever you can, you're fitting in those invites in the crack and you're writing their names down and like a little dash by them of like why you think they would be great or whatever, or what their response was, and making it super, super simple for yourself, because a CEO thinks in terms of processes that can then be paid forward to other coaches in the downline, right? So other coaches that you sign up, when you have that mindset of like, what can I do that can then be duplicatable? Like you got to figure out a way to make this work for you first before you can teach it to someone else. And when you can teach it to someone else, that's where the magic happens. And that's where your business goes from a hobby coach to like turning into a CEO and having a solid organization underneath you. So, like I said, what I do now is I focus on particular areas. So on Monday and Tuesday, I'm more focused on adding people to my network and sending hey girl messages. And then towards the end of the week, I'm more focused on inviting people and doing follow-ups. Does that mean that I don't ever do an invite on Monday and Tuesday? Not necessarily, but I gear that stuff towards the end. And I go back to square one, where like I'm doing the same, our team now has over 2,000 coaches, but I'm doing the same things that I did at square one that I would tell my brand new Emerald coaches to do. And a lot of times I think we get to a certain place in our business, or we go diamond, or we, go Emerald, or we build a team, or we're 5-star or 10-star, whatever. And you think you have to start to go into a manager mode and manage your team because you think that that's what a CEO does. But what a CEO does is has tangible evidence of what they're doing that they can pay forward to their team so their team can learn from what they're doing. So some things that I do that really help my team tremendously isn't necessarily like the fancy trainings, stuff that I've been like, oh, they are gonna love this. Like, let me make this awesome training and this like really sweet graphic that took me like an hour to make. That's not the stuff that they love. What they love is hearing about how I invite, or screenshotting my actual invites, or showing them that I got an objection and then going live in my page and telling them like, this is how I walked through it and this is how I put myself in their shoes. So don't be afraid to, instead of having glamorous trainings, to do things that are just real time. Like go into your team page and saying like, let's do a live power hour together where we get on a Zoom and we blast some music. And for 5 minutes, we send friend requests. And then for 10 minutes, we all send messages. And then for 10 minutes, we all do invites or whatever it is. I think those like tangible things of actually doing the work are what really takes you from a hobby coach to a strong business builder to a CEO, because you're constantly thinking about how can these actions that I'm already doing serve my team in a bigger way, right? Because I think that's really, really important in this business. This business is a duplication business and it's a relationship business. So you got to really, really care about people, whether they buy anything from you or not. Most of them end up buying something from you because they see that you actually care. But even if they don't, you have to treat people like you love them no matter what. And then you need to teach other people how to do anything that you've learned that works for you, and anything that hasn't worked for you. You got to call yourself out and tell them. And that takes just like shoveling in humble pie and telling your team what didn't work for you. Okay. So that's something that I've gotten really good at, is sharing all the stuff that I suck at. It's a really like simple concept, but it's really everything in this business, So another thing that I think is really important is, I told you guys that it's important to think about this business like $100,000 business or whatever it is that you want it to be. It's important to be able to visualize what you actually want and the feeling attached to that, right? So for example, my first goal with this business was which was kind of actually over the top when I think about it now, was to quit my full-time job. I needed to exceed my corporate salary so that I could leave. So I was able to support us both living here in New York together. And that was all I thought about. I was not worried about what Sally Sue and all these other coaches are doing. Actually, my upline coach, Brigida's Diamonds page, so it has just her PS Diamond and above coaches. A lot of them were doing newsletters and clean eating groups and had like pages with tons of likes and had Instagram followings that had like thousands of followers. And I was like, I don't have any of that stuff, but I love voice messaging people and I love hey girling people and I love talking about this and just, getting to work with other people. So maybe I'll just do me and not worry about what everyone else is doing and do what feels good to me. And that was a game changer for my business too, because I'm not the clean eating running group. I'm not the person that has a like page with tons of followers. I love Instagram, but I don't have thousands and thousands of followers. So I had to figure out what it was that made me so I could get where I wanted to go. And where I wanted to go first was to quit my full-time job. So I posted Post-it notes everywhere where it was like, no alarm clock Monday. And like, I'm big on like whiteboard stuff. So everything was like visual everywhere. And I would talk about it. And I told other people that were in my life that mattered to me about it. I told my team about it. I told them live on a team call before I had even told my dad. So, I was pumped about it and my whole team knew. So they were all rooting for me as they knew my vision. So now my vision has changed and I still loop my team into it. And it's to pay off all of Sina's dental school loans. My boyfriend's name is Sina. His dental school loans before he graduates in May of 2018. And I tell them about the red cutout dress that I'm going to wear with my huge guns that I'm just going to develop before then. When he walks across the stage and gets his diploma and we don't have any debt before we get married. And my team knows that. And some of them will even text me pictures when they're out at weddings and they see a girl in a red cutout dress because I share that vision with my team. Because even if you're a brand new coach or you only have 2 coaches, 3 coaches, whatever it looks like, you've got to, as a leader or as a CEO, you've got to go first. You've got to set the vision and not rely on your upline coach to do it for you. You've got to decide that I am going to make this into something that I want, and it's going to look different than it's going to look for all my other sister coaches or my upline coach or what she did or what Danielle did or whatever, It's going to look differently for you. And as soon as you take ownership for your own business, things totally change because people want to jump on your train because you're going somewhere. Even publicly, I talk about my vision because I want people that are following me to watch as things happen. I talked about, once I put my notice in, I openly said I was quitting my job and I put in a 3-month notice. So I was able to talk about it for a while. But I talked about what I wanted this to look like. I talk about paying off Sina's loans and we're not even close to paying them off yet. And it's because I want people to be on the journey with me. And I want my team to know that this is where we're going. I'll share with you guys, when I have been a coach, I was a diamond ring coach and I was all discount coaches basically with one builder. And I did that pretty quickly. And I had a team page and there was 4 of us in there. And because some of them were family members and stuff. And I told them oh my gosh, you guys, one day we're all going to have matching sparkly headbands and there's going to be 100 of us and we're going to be helping so many people every single month. I cannot even wait. You guys, I had 4 coaches in that page and one of them was Sina. So it's you have to be okay with being the one that's oh, I'm doing this, join me and be the one that goes first. And that can be scary, but people will buy into that vision and they want to get on board that train. And it will blow your mind what happens when you're able to just put it out there, put it out in the universe, what you actually want, and then back it up by sharing what you're doing to get there. So as you're attracting people into your business, you don't want quality over quantity. You want quality in quantity. So you need to be talking about what you want, who you want to join your team, and why you think they can benefit from it, okay? So you're going to have to do the work to get there, but it's going to be so freaking worth it. And you've got to remember, if you have reached a goal so far in your business, so I reached a certain, when I quit my job, and then I reached a certain financial milestone that I didn't think I was going to reach for a few years. And I kind of sat there and I was like, okay, I have this awesome team. Now what do I do? Just keep helping them. But the team that got you here where you are right now isn't the team that's going to get you there, right? So constantly be doing this self-check. I always say to myself, if my team did what I'm doing right now, would they reach their goals? And I'm like, okay, I'm watching Gossip Girl and I'm working on a graphic for an hour. No, definitely not. And I'm like, check yourself, because that's what you do in this business is You are the person that figures out what doesn't work, figures out what does work, and you share everything along the way with any coaches that join you. Also remember, this is kind of just like random things that are popping into my brain. Another thing is I decided to build this business because I was lacking fulfillment in my life in terms of an impact for helping people. And I wasn't able to make the connection in my brain that Beachbody could be the platform to help me help more people. I thought of it as a weird MLM thing. And so what bridged the gap for me that made me see this in a totally different light was creeping in the team page that Brigitte put me into, the team page that I said I didn't want to be a part of, but was still put into as a discount coach. And I watched what people were posting, and people were sharing about how they would have voice messages of challengers crying because they felt like their marriages weren't crumbling anymore because they had confidence again. And I was like, dude, these girls are like making people cry, and I'm helping these software developers in China put code on firewalls. Like, these girls are doing awesome stuff. Like, I want to do that too. And so you never know what can spark someone's interest. So think about getting them into the team page. Like, sometimes I have coaches that are like, Keisha, should we add this coach if they're a quote unquote discount coach into the team page? I'm like, yeah, homegirl, I was a discount coach. Put them in the team page, and don't call them a discount coach, because you don't need to decide what they're going to be. They can change their mind. I had a girl that signed up as a discount coach who 4 days later bought a ticket to Nashville last year for Summit because she was like, this sounds fun. I want to do this, so you never know. And now she's like one of our top coaches on our team. So I think make sure you're self-checking and treating yourself like you are the CEO of the business that you want to have. I'm not big on 1-year goals. I'm really big on 12-week goals or like 90-day goals because I think it's more realistic. Like, everything that I do, I break down in a monthly plan, and then I kind of measure it against a quarterly plan. But I didn't used to do that because I wanted to just like YOLO this business. But if you YOLO or wing it, you get winging it results. But when I decided, wait a second, I want this to be a awesome business that's able to support both of us and pay off all of this debt before we get married and provide this like lifestyle where we can give back to people that are never going to be in the situation that we're in, where I get to help other people see their full potential, where I can jump on a plane and go visit my grandma if I want to. Like, I wanted that lifestyle. So I had to get more disciplined, not just motivated, but disciplined, and have structure in my business to make sure that I was able to show people not just why they should do this, but how they can do this, because I figured it out for myself. And that took a lot of research. It took me figuring out, okay, what are the pockets of time that I can do the things that I need to do? I used to take a long time to post and like write up post content because I wanted to like sound perfect. But now I set an alarm on my phone and I do it in 5 minutes or less, or it doesn't get posted, because who has time for any of that? So by the way, I just posted about jumping on this call. And if there's typos, that's why, because I did it right before. So I think that like you guys just have to remember that things can be structured into your business, but you have to be the one that adds the structure that feels good to you, which means for me, it was really important that when I built out my week plan, because that's what a CEO does, that I broke down times where I was unplugged, and I broke down times where I was on date night or had girls' night. Like, I blocked off times that my phone was on airplane mode. You do not have to have this business control your life. Your life can be how it is, and you can fit this business into where it works for you, but you're going to have to fit it in if you want to make it big in this business and make it into a big organization or whatever it is that you want, right? So just remember, everything that you're doing, your coaches are watching what you're doing. They're watching what you're doing so much more than what you're saying. So if you're preaching Success Club and you're not in Success Club, and I had to check myself on that a couple of times where I'm like, everyone just did Success Club. This is what I did to build my business. But I'm like, dude, I'm at 2 successful points. I'm not leading but from the front. So that's what a leader does, right? If a leader goes at 200%, or if your team knows that you have big goals in this business, like my team did with me when I said I was going to quit my job, I was at Success Club 10 by the 10th of the month, which means I was talking to a ton of people and I was inviting people. I've never been someone that's like a Success Club 50 or top recruiter, but I'm probably one of the top earners. And it's because I was able to duplicate it. Because I was able to show coaches, hey, hit Success Club, and this is why you hit it. And I've already hit it early in the month, so I can continue to focus on helping them hit it too. That's all you do in this business. Hit Success Club and then help your coaches hit Success Club from a structure standpoint, right? It gives you something to measure against. And I know, and I don't know about you, for those of you guys that have onboarded new coaches, I recently onboarded a coach and she's awesome, but she told me that she was going to focus on writing her blog posts about why she loves coaching, but she wasn't in Success Club yet. And to me, that was a red flag. And so think about that with yourself. Even if you're the leader of a team, like when I catch myself wanting to like redo trainings and I'm not in Success Club yet, like this would give me a red flag if my coach wasn't in Success Club and they were wanting to do a project that has nothing to do with their own business. So I'm not going to do that first, right? So when you feel like you're often saying like, no one on my team is doing X, like no one on my team is actually doing their invites, or no one on my team is hitting Success Club, it's a clear indicator that you're probably not doing that either, or you're not doing it early enough for them to see that you're doing that so that they can look at you and model it. It's not your job to convince every coach to go active in your downline so you can go diamond and hold your rank. It's your job to model the behaviors that you want them to model, because like I said, they're going to watch what you do more than what you say. And it's your job to do things that are going to make you step outside your comfort zone and make you uncomfortable. If you want your coaches to be a team of people that are doing things, not just talking about it, you need to be the one that goes first. It's your job to fail, which means it's your job to get no's and get objections and share that with your team, because they're going to learn more from your failures than they will of your successes. And it's your job to do personal development if you're telling your team to do personal development, because you need to be able to pull out teachable moments to share with them along the way, right? Because it's not really like what you know, it's what you're going to do with what you know. Because, you know, like if you guys have read You're About Us, she talks about like sitting on the couch with all this knowledge, being the smartest person on your couch watching Jeopardy. Like, who cares if you're not doing anything with your knowledge, right? So I guess those are like the main things that I wanted to share with you guys, is that really you can make this business whatever you want this business to be, right? Like, you can have this as a hobby and that can fit into your life perfectly. You can have this as a side income. You can have this as a full-time income. But what I don't want it to be is you to hold yourself back because you're scared, because you're fearful of failure, or you're fearful of success. Because like, what happens if it does work? Or maybe you have someone in the back of your head, family member or a friend or a coworker, who's like, oh, that Beachbody thing. Well, guess what? Who cares what those people say? Because if this fills you up with joy and pushes you outside of your comfort zone to grow as a human, you're already winning. Like, people have told me before, like, oh my gosh, like you've reached success in this business. And I'm like, dude, I was successful the day that I decided to run a challenge group, when I hadn't made any money, right? I hadn't even sold the challenge pack when I was like, I'm going to run a challenge group. And I didn't even know what I was doing, but I felt successful then because I defined success as doing something outside of my comfort zone, right? So don't let Beachbody's, I mean, given it's great that Beachbody has benchmarks and rank goals and team leader and, you know, leadership ladder stuff, all of that is great because it's helpful to have something to measure your business, but let yourself be the one that decides what success looks like, and more importantly, feels like to you, right? So if you're someone who needs to build up your confidence in the business, my first thing to you would be to tell you to actually do personal development. Like, I can't even tell you how many people have come to me and been like, okay, like I didn't really do it, but I just started and like now my business is like taking off. I'm like, dude, where have you been? I thought that too, because I thought that I was so happy that I didn't need to do personal development, but I'll tell you, there's no way that I would be here still if I didn't do personal development. No way. Absolutely no way. So personal development, do your workout, and please don't be that person that hops around and does all these random workouts. Stick to a plan and follow that plan every single day, because when you do that, it makes it easier for your brain. You're going to get better results, and people following you understand their journey, like the journey that you're on, and they know that they can join you because they don't have to do this weird like thing where, oh, I do Pio and then I do Max 30 and then I do P90X. And if any of you guys do that, I'm not specifically calling you out because I didn't check all of your Facebook profiles before I jumped on here. But if you do that, that's something that I used to do, and it was really confusing to people. And they would actually tell me in private messages how confusing that was, because I was like, well, I'll do what I want because I want to be happy and do whatever workout I feel like that day. Follow the plan, because people want to see people following a plan. And the other thing is, if you are filling your cup and really taking care of yourself, then that's when you can add in all of the business elements. Does that mean that you have to have a 6-pack abs before you can run a challenge group? No way. I still don't have a 6-pack and I'm totally fine with it. But you do have to be taking care of yourself on a regular and consistent basis so that you have the energy to pour into other people, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And that sounds so cliche. It's like very Pinteresty, but honestly, you can't. And I've tried to do it before. I've tried to do it when I was just like, I'm not even feeling this right now. I don't really want to work out. And I'm trying to pour into my team. It just doesn't work. So even if you don't have a team yet, model those behaviors of the leader that you want to be. Because when the people come into your business, because you're inviting them and you're being authentic self on social media, those people will have a structure to come into because you already created it. So even if you don't have coaches under you yet, there's nothing wrong with that. Act as if. I'm not saying fake it till you make it, because I don't believe in that. Be authentic, say what you don't know, but act as if you are the leader that you want to be, because you will become that. And when the people come in, you're going to know how to lead them. So anyways, I hope that helps. Those are kind of like some of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about, but I'm happy to answer questions or anything.
Keisha, you're amazing, because you answered so many of the questions my team already had. Yes. And you definitely reminded me of, or you not reminded me, but you put into light something that I've been struggling with. And I don't know if my team realizes it, because I didn't realize it, but like so much of my life has changed that it's totally messed with my vision of where I want my life to be and where I want this business to take off at. And so thank you for that. I feel like I'm going to get emotional, so I think I got a post coming on pretty soon. The baby zoo is about to get really loud, so people, if you have questions, please ask away, okay?
Anybody? I was just going to add that I just told my team today, I was like listening to a Miguel Carrasco call that I posted to you guys. So if you haven't listened to it, go listen. But he talks about how everybody usually wastes 2 hours a day and how we just like scroll or, and I explained to them exactly where I found my PD time. So yeah, you guys hear it from the boss. She knows. So
it's really helpful to like block it out. I think a lot of times like we're doing business related stuff, but we're not doing business building stuff. But like I don't go on Facebook for leisure to like scroll and see what everyone's doing. One other thing I want to tell you guys, because I was just talking to another team about this, is I do Facebook lists. Do you guys do those? Okay, everyone already knows. This is a no-brainer, but a lot of them didn't know. But I unfollow all the coaches that are on my team and all of my PS coaches, and I put them on a Facebook list. I even put my best friends on a list and my family members on a list, and I unfollow them so they're not in my newsfeed. And then I check them when I'm done with what I was going to do when I jumped on Facebook at that point in time. So if it was like, okay, I'm sending out 25 friend requests, I do those 25 friend requests, and then I can go to the Facebook list. And that's really helpful because it just structures my brain better. So like I'm not logging into Facebook on my computer or going on Facebook on the app on my phone to just wing it, right? Because if I wing it, I'm going to get winging results. And I don't want to spend my life plugged into my computer or plugged into my phone just because I have an online business. I'm strategic with my time and building a schedule around that. So anyways, hopefully that helps too.
You guys can type your questions. I have a question. Yeah. So I think we have a mix of coaches on here. New coaches who are getting started, and then other coaches who have felt that holiday slump, where you get into the rut of, family members saying things and your mindset just off. Can you talk about how you create that consistency, whether it's getting back or starting it in your journey?
Absolutely. So at first, I think what I used to do is when I worked a full-time corporate job, raise your hand if you work a full-time corporate job. Okay, basically most people on this call. Okay, so what I did is on Sunday nights at 9 p.m., I would have like a business meeting with my boyfriend, and we would talk about the week. And we would talk about what are some of the social obligations that we have? What are things that I had for work that he had for school? And we would just kind of game plan the week. And I would also make my social media game plan, because $100,000 business, right? Like if you decided it was going to be $100,000 business, $100,000 business would have a marketing plan. So I would think about like the 5 to 7 things that I posted about on social media. I don't do this anymore, but I used to do this. And a lot of new coaches that I talk to, I tell them to do this because it's really helpful. Where I would think about those things, 5 to 7 things that I'm interested in. Of course, Beachbody and health and fitness are going to be on it, but also the things that make you uniquely you, especially mom life, or if you like have a hobby of collecting glass sculptures. I don't know what your thing is, right? Whatever it is for you, those things that make you different from other people too, that are important to you in your life, that you are basically just rotating through those things. So a lot of coaches in the network talk about posting 3 to 5 times a day on social media. I've never done that before. I've always posted like 1 or 2 times a day, and that works just fine for me, but do whatever feels good to you. But I would basically rotate through, like I would be like, okay, Monday morning, post something like female empowerment-ish. Monday PM, post something like meal related. Okay, Tuesday morning, something like transformation-ish, and I would kind of map out what some things were going to be for the week. And that was really helpful for me, because then I wasn't like scrambling thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't post, because the posting is important in terms of like sharing your life and sharing your journey. But most of the time, the people that come on board are going to be the combination of what they see on social media with you actually connecting with them via a one-on-one private message, right? You got to make time for that stuff, because that's the business building stuff. So I would map things out ahead of time. But I also, I often encourage coaches, if it's possible, to become people that work out in the morning. For me, that was really, really helpful. So I would work on my business, like catch up on the night before from, 5:30 to 6:15. I would catch up on anything. Keep in mind, I had a really large downline too, so this might not even be necessary to have this much time yet, but I'd catch up on as much as I could from 5:30 to 6:15. And I was like, that's the amount of time that I have to get whatever I can get done in that allotted time. And to me, that was success, right? Because I spent 45 minutes and I'm like, I'm winning, whatever I did. I was never in the mindset of like, oh my gosh, I didn't do all this stuff. It was like, booyah, I killed 45 minutes. Now I'm going to go do my workout. And then I do my workout, and then I would shower and I'd put headphones in and listen to personal development while I was blow drying my hair. And then I would commute to work and I'd listen to personal development, and I would jot down notes in my phone in the notes section of random post ideas that came to my mind from my personal development. And then I would post something while I was at work. I'd have it teed up in my phone. I'd post it at 10:15 because I was catering to Pacific time, because all of my network was there when I moved to New York. And I'd post it, and then I'd put my phone away, and I wouldn't touch my phone, except for if I went to the bathroom or something, I'd maybe sneak it with me in my pocket. But I never worked on my business at work. Literally never did. Honestly, like I actually didn't. And so then I would come home and I would be unplugged for a certain amount of time, but I would block out chunks of time where I'm like, I'm following up with my challenge groups from this time to this time. And then I'm unplugged for this hour so we can eat dinner and like have a conversation with each other like normal humans. And then from this time to this time, I'm working on business related stuff. And I broke it down really strategically. But the first thing that I took care of was taking care of myself. I blocked out my workouts, and I made sure that that was the time I was doing my workout. Of course, life happens, and like sometimes you slept in or whatever happens, or if you do your workout at like nap time, if you have kids or whatever, obviously that's very unpredictable for some kids. So you can't always rely on that, but do your best that you can. And that's enough, right? So just trying to be as proactive as you can to block out your stuff first, because it's not that you're on a journey just to show people your results. I think sometimes coaches miss that it's like, oh, well, I need to keep showing my journey, my progress, so that people want to join my groups. That's important, absolutely. But it's more for you, because your mindset is different when you're doing personal development and you're working out, because you feel more credible. You're more excited to invite people to join you because you're seeing results yourself. Your mindset is more on track because you're not going to be as offended if someone tells you no. You're not going to think it's about you. You're going to think it's not right now for them, versus thinking that you're a salesy person and you're maybe not cut out for this coaching thing or whatever. That's the place that people go to when they're insecure. And I'm not saying that as a negative thing, because we all have insecurities. I have insecurities too. But that's the mental place that you go to where it's a fear mindset, versus if you're doing personal development and you're working out, your endorphins are pumped and your brain is pumped, and the no's don't bug you as much, because you're gonna get no's. In fact, if you don't get no's, who's going to be the next like couple months people, right? Like no's are actually good for that. So I would encourage you just to look at your week and be aggressive, but be realistic about your time slots of what you need to do. I know I can't focus for much more than like 2 hours on something. And I'm not even going to like share with you guys my schedule because it's not going to be relevant to most people that don't coach full time. But a lot of my coaches that I've been talking with them about breaking out a schedule that looks and feels good to them too, which means one of my coaches sent me back her schedule, and it was her staying up until midnight, and then she was waking up at 5 to do her workout. And I was like, girlfriend, you're not going to be able to do that long term. Like, you are going to burn out and then you're going to quit. So here's your calendar back, retry, because I know you're not going to be happy and your marriage is going to crumble. And I'm not going to say that that's okay for you, because I know that's not okay for her. And that's also just kind of how I am. I'm pretty saucy, and I'll tell you what I think. But I think that would be the first thing that I would say, is like to kind of block out that chunk of time. So a question in the chat: what's a good tip for growing your network beyond your current friends? And what's a personal development book you recommend? So for growing your network, I do Facebook private interest groups. So private interest groups or public interest groups, So I'm a big Seahawks fan, for example. So there's a group that's like New Yorkers love the Seahawks, and there's thousands and thousands of people in there. And I add people, and this is actually my criteria. I add people that I think I would want to have a bottle of wine with and chat about their lives. I'm like, oh, I think we'd be friends in real life. And I will just add them. And when they accept my friend request, then I'll send them a message, and I'll end with a question. Hey girl, I saw you in New Yorkers Love the Seahawks group. I love connecting with new people. Do you live in the city? That's typically like my go-to for that particular group. Or if you like travel, like a girls love travel group, there's a huge girls love travel group. Like finding something that you're interested in, adding people there. Again, if you pump yourself with personal development, that's not scary and that doesn't seem weird. And the coaches that are the most concerned with that are the ones that aren't doing enough personal development or just haven't done it enough times. Like, it does not weird me out at this point because of practice. But that's something that you'll get more and more comfortable with as you do it more. So I'd encourage you that if that makes you nervous, good, it's a growth opportunity. But also more repetition of that is going to make it more comfortable. So start that comfortable train now, so that come 6 months from now, when you guys are all living it up in New Orleans, or 7 months, I guess, when you guys are doing that, you feel so much more comfortable. And a lot of those people are going to start to follow your journey, whether or not they respond to your hey girl message or not. Personal development, it totally depends. I'm really big on doing personal development for what you're currently, like, you feel like your big issue is. Some books that I absolutely love, if you have like friends or family that maybe don't support you, or you really see yourself as like a CEO, The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy is one of my favorite. Anything by Brene Brown, Power of Vulnerability, is incredible. A book that I love right now is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, one of my all-time favorite books. If you haven't read The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy or The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, those are like must-dos. If you're kind of saucy like I am, You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. That's a great book. Oh gosh, I could honestly just keep going. If you're like looking for something that's more like structured leadership, John C. Maxwell, Basically Anything. I'm just a really big, I also love Gary Vaynerchuk. He's kind of like harsh. I like his YouTube videos because he's really saucy. But Shalene Show podcast, everyone listens to that. I feel like that's in Beachbody. What other saucy books do you recommend? What else have I read recently? Get Out of Your Own Damn Way. That's a good book. It's also from like a network marketing perspective. I'm That Girl by, I think it's like Alexis Jones. Gosh, you guys, I'm like pulling these out. Let's see, what else do I have over there? I can't even see my bookshelf from here, but I can send you more too. I actually made a list. I'll PM it to you that I made a list that's in our team page of like different categories of anything that you're kind of working through. But my all-time, like my real favorite book right now is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, because it talks about how we upper limit ourselves. And so it was like a breakthrough book for me that kind of helped me get through a little bit of a mental space that I was in for the last 6 months. So that book's awesome. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Yeah.
Sorry. I have one question. You mentioned before, if you have like a coach that like started out like on fire, like SC95, and then like my question, Danielle can relate to that. But like and I can relate to that too in the past. Like, what do you say if you see that kind of stuff happening? Like, how do we get our coaches to, I guess, in a way, slow down so that they don't burn out? Or
I do the same thing where like I'm really big on blocking out a schedule, and having them block out times, especially if they have a significant other, to block out a chunk of time where they actually are unplugged with their phone off. Like I'm like, girlfriend, put your phone in the physical other room, because no one's going to die if you don't respond to their message. And if they end up in buying a challenge pack from someone else, then I'm just like big on like the universe attracts the right people to you, and the right people come into your life and into your business and stay. So if someone buys a challenge pack from someone else, who freaking cares? Get over it. Because the people that are in front of you or living in your household come first, in my opinion. That being said, a short-term sacrifice is a down payment on a future abundant blessing. So you got to give a little so that you can reap the benefits long-term. Like my boyfriend and I used to talk about how we would have date nights. We like still had date nights, like as I was in like my more hustle season of this business, but he was under the mindset and like the impression of, this is our business that we're building for our future. And so if we only have date night like once a week, and he helps me with some of the other stuff that I like, household related stuff, so that I can do what I need to do. That was a conversation that we had to make it a we business. And under the agreement that's like, dude, if we have one date night a week, we can have a date night in Tahiti in 2 years or whatever. Like, it's fine. It'll be fine. It'll pay off long-term. But having a plan and making sure that your coaches, especially if you have someone who hits the ground running. We had a coach like that on our team that recently was just like crazy. And I was like, can I get on a Zoom call with you? And me and her upline coach and her were on a call, and I was like, I'm so pumped for you and all the people that you're helping, but I'm cautious because I know that something's got to give, especially when you're working a full-time job, you have a daughter and you're newly married. Like, something's giving right now, and I don't want it to be your daughter or your husband. So we got to figure out a way to make this manageable. And I'm saying that because I truly care about the long-term success, because this is not a get-rich-quick thing or a fast, like business where you're going to all of a sudden make all this income. It's being steadfast, right? Like continuing on and having like big goals, but something that is sustainable over time. And that's the biggest thing that I'm always like reiterating with my coaches is like, you can do this with balance, but you need to make sure that you're checking that now and setting those parameters early and telling your significant other what you're actually doing versus like, oh, I'm just like playing on Facebook. I will tell you that having my laptop up while we are like watching a movie or something, that's like, I'm kind of working, versus if I'm like, hey, I just need 1 hour and I'm going to focus and get all of this stuff done, and then I'm totally present. That's more beneficial for my business and for my future marriage than me half budding, like, I don't know if there's kids, half doing things with my laptop sitting by me, right? And kind of doing things. So blocking out those chunks of time and just making sure that people that are in your life, or roommates or boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever, that they understand what this is going to look like because of the goals that you have for you and them in the future and for your current or future family. So cluing them in early, even if they don't get it, because they'll get it when it comes around. Like as things start to build, they're going to understand it more, but you can't be pissed at them for not understanding if you're not letting them into anything at all. I think I just went on a different tangent, but I was seeing a couple of head nods for people that wanted that. So anyway, yeah.
I don't want to take up too much. Oh,
no, you're good.
That was weird. I'm hearing myself talk back. But sorry, I'm totally distracted. I'm gonna type it because this.
Any other questions? I know you're typing one.
No, well, I muted her. I think it was because you were both on.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying, was it hard for you to get Sina on board at first when you decided to take this? Because I know we do have some people who are in relationships who are trying to figure out that balance.
Yeah, totally. So I highly recommend, if you guys haven't listened to the Shalene podcast, Why Friends and Family May Not Support You, that is a really good podcast for anyone, any coach that you sign up in the future, or yourself, that kind of explains the mindset of often people that love us and care about us are trying to protect us from the unknown, versus you getting mad at them that they don't understand. The thing that I did really early, so Cena's always been really supportive, but what made him more supportive was that we talk versus the my business, my thing. Cena doesn't run challenge groups. He doesn't ever want to, but it was our business in terms of like what I was doing now was setting us, like our current and future family, I say current family with like our dog, but our current family and our future family up for success. And he understood what my vision was. And he attended Summit with me. And like his mindset, we actually just went and spoke at a Super Saturday, and he was on a spouse panel, and he said, he's like, for me, it was easy because I saw how excited she was and I saw how passionate she was. And she shared that part with me, not so much the part where it's like wanting to like jump off a bridge, like pull my hair out of my head when I was like stressed out about something. If that's all your significant other is seeing, and this is taking you away from your family or from him or her, well, of course they're not going to understand it. It's your job to focus on the parts that you love about this. And it's your job to make sure that they understand that it's a we thing and that you are they are part of the vision for where you see this going, and that they're just going to have to trust you and be really, some significant others that I've like talked with my coaches about their significant others, them having a lot of guys are very analytical. So like having a tangible plan of like, this is what I'm doing at this particular time. And I need you to watch the baby or watch the dog or, like do something else and don't bother me because I'm going to be doing my own thing. I was very, very communicative about that. Like I explained, this is what I'm doing and why, and this is what I need. So literally just don't talk to me. Like I said in a nice way, of course, but I'm like, okay, I literally can't have this conversation. Let's chat and have awesome unplugged time in 2 hours, but I'm not doing that until 2 hours is up. So I'm going to need you to help me because this is what it's going to turn into. And then of course, from a guy perspective or just anyone that's analytical, as things started to build and he saw that I wasn't just playing on Facebook, like I was also bringing in income because I was doing business building activities. So I remember even when I had my first $500 paycheck and he was like, what? You're actually like making $500 like a week with this? This is crazy. And obviously like as it's grown since there, he has even more buy-in, but it's honestly not even just the income, but it was the communication of what I was doing. And that was really helpful. That being said, you're always going to have some people that are not going to understand it. You're going to have friends who make like little comments, or you're going to have someone who's like, oh, I saw you on Facebook, and it's like, you have to be so rooted in why you're doing this and why you care about this and why this fills you up, that stuff won't bother you as you do consistent personal development over time. And when people see you treat this like a business, and for example, like when I stay with all of our family and friends, not all of our family and friends, but like most everyone lives in Seattle, which is where we're both from. And when we go to town and like visit people, I'll get up and I'll work for an hour and people will come downstairs and see me on my laptop that I've been up. So they know, given I've been in this business for a long time now too, so that's helped. But I was doing that in the early stages where it wasn't like I was pretending like it didn't matter because I didn't want to seem weird to them. I was showing that I treated this like a business. And what did that do? It gave them way less like little remarks at me. And it also showed that this is something that I really care about and I'm taking this seriously. And if you care about me, then you're going to care that I care about this and you're going to stop making those comments. And some people won't. And then I highly recommend that you give yourself some space from them and let people in closer that do love and support you. And the right people will come into your life, into your business and stay. Like, I really believe that. Doesn't make it easy, especially if it's someone that's really, really close to you, but give them time and give them grace and compassion and treat this like a business and they will take you more seriously. So hopefully that helps. Yeah. And the Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, you should check that book out too. Like anyone that's dealing with that, it explains a lot about just the entrepreneur cycle and anyone that's like doing something that's a little bit against the grain. Your track record, if you've done other MLMs in the past or you've like started stuff and stopped stuff, like they want to see that this isn't just a fad for you. They want to see that you're actually going to be here. Once you've been here consistently for a longer time, people naturally know that you take this more seriously. So sometimes you kind of just have to fight through that beginning stage too. The crabs. Yep. The crab analogy. Awesome. Yay.
Thank you so much, Keisha. You're awesome. We appreciate you spending the time with us tonight. And let me have that list of books. That'd be awesome.
I'll send it over to you. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Really quick, can I take a selfie? Everyone just smile, okay? 1, 2, 3. One more. And one more. Because why not? Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.